Hey 7th graders, welcome to the Cleveland 7th grade math YouTube channel. Here on this channel you'll find all 5 of us math teachers are going to be going over the questions that you've been given each week. On Wednesdays I'll start off with a video showing the problems from day 1, and then the next day on Thursday you'll see Miss Howell and she'll work out day 2. Each day after that we'll have a teacher post a video going through the problems that you guys have been working so hard on. A few things I want to talk about. First is in the packets that you've got, we have ClassLink information. Make sure you sign into your ClassLink. That gets you into your email and different resources that you have in order to help you be more successful in this time that we're away from school. Also, we have some contact information. Maybe pause this screen here if you need to. It has all 5 math teachers and different ways that you can contact us. There's information at the top of how to use each of these things. Make sure you're reaching out to your teachers if you do need more help. As I said before, with these videos, we're going to go over the questions that are in your packet. We will give you the answers, but we do want you to try to complete those problems first on your own. So if you have not done day 1, I would like for you to come back to this video after you've tried. If there's any problems you need extra help with, you can even fast forward through the questions if you know the answer to them. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you do need help with any of them, they will be worked out here in this video. So as you guys probably know, I am in no way a professional YouTuber or video maker at all. So I've got a few times where I messed up just a little bit in this video, but hopefully my point gets across and you guys learn something if you were confused.
For today's video, we're going to be looking at instructional packet number 4 for 7th grade. We're going to go down to the math part. After your writing, you'll see that we have a formula chart. We'll use this for a couple questions today. It's there for you whenever you need it. And we're going to work on day 1. Tomorrow, Miss Howell will teach you guys the questions on day 2. So get ready for that. But let's go ahead and go for number 1. On some of these questions, there are typos. I apologize for that, but we're going to still do what we can, solve these problems up. All right, so for number 1, it is asking us about this thing called a GCF. Stands for greatest common factor. So the word factor just means what numbers can you multiply together to end up with either one of these. So what times what would give me 72? There's a bunch of different things. Then what times what would give me 120? Also has a lot of answers. So what I'm going to do to solve this problem is make a list. All of the things under 72 that I could multiply and get an answer of 72. So I could start off with an easy one. For example, 1 times 72 will give me 72. I'm going to keep going. I'll go in number order. And if I'm not sure if those two numbers multiply to get 72, you can always divide to check and see if they do. So I'll go on to 2 times 36, 3 times 24, 4 times 18, 6 times 12, and 8 times 9. If I wanted to keep going, I could say 9 times 8. But we see that that's a repeated number from 8 times 9. Once you get to the point where you're repeating numbers, that tells you that you're all done and you've got all the factors for 72. I'm going to repeat the same thing with 120. Now, since this is a bigger number, usually means that you're going to have more factors, and that is true. We do have a bigger list this time. So stay with me. I'm going to make my list. I've got 1 times 120, 2 times 60, 3 times 40, 4 times 30, 5 times 24, 6 times 20, 8 times 15, and 10 times 12. If I wanted to keep going, I could try 11. 11 is not a factor of 120, so then I would go with 12, and I would get 12 times 10, and that would repeat this one right here. So once you start repeating, you know that you're all done. So going back to what we're looking for here, we have two big lists of numbers. We want the greatest common factor. So we look for a number that's repeated on both sides, and we want the biggest one that is there. So if we take a look, evaluate the numbers for a second, I see 24 is repeated on both sides. And that's going to be the biggest number that we have there. So that is our greatest common factor. All right, on to number 2. It asks us to decide if the event is independent or dependent. So let's talk about these two words for a second. If something is independent, that means that anything could happen. So if we think about flipping a coin, if I flip a coin and it lands on tails, if I flip it again, it could still land on tails again, or it could land on heads. It doesn't really matter what happened the first time. Anything can still happen the second time. So we call that independent, when anything is a chance that could happen. The other option is dependent. So let's think about something like taking a card from a deck of coins. Sorry, taking a card from a deck of cards. I don't know who has a deck of coins, but that's pretty cool. So if I take a card from the stack and then I put that card to the side and I go and pick a second card. Now, it depends on which card I took out the first time. So if I took out, let's say, a 2, now I can't pick that same 2 again because I've already removed it from the stack. That means that it's dependent because something has changed. And now all of the options aren't available anymore. So our example on number 2 is choosing one player to be on your team and then selecting another one. So this is really similar to the example with the cards. If I'm choosing one player and then I choose my second player, this depends on what happens. Let's say I chose Bob the first try. I can't choose Bob again for my second player because he's already been picked. So the answer for this question is it is dependent. I can't spell. Ooh, let's try this again. Dependent. There we go. Oh, wow. Technical difficulties, kids. It's okay. It happens. Scrolling. All right, so in all that mess, hope you guys got the answer for number 2 is dependent. All right, let's go on to the next couple questions. All right, on to number 3. We have another typo here. It wanted us to put a number on a number line, but there's no number. So on to number 4. We want to use the percent equation to solve what percent of 120 is 90. All right, so percent equation, what we want to pay attention to is that it is talking about a percent and it's asking us to find that percent. When we see that, we always want to use a window. It's going to be too much space. All right, so within our window, we have the part and the whole. All right, so if we put over to the side here, this is where we want to leave our percents. So it says what percent of 120 is 90? So 90 is a part and 120 is the whole. Neither of those two numbers have a percent sign on them, so I don't want to put them on the right side. That's where I want to keep my numbers for the percent. We're looking for this number here. What percent is 90 if the whole is 120? We know if it is a percent, the whole amount will be a 100. So once we get to this step, we're going to use our cross multiply and divide method. 100 times 90 will give us 9,000. Now we want to divide that by 120. A little shortcut here for us is to remove 2 zeros. Now we're dividing 900 by 12. All right, so we've got a 7 here. and that will leave us with 84. 12 will go into 60 5 times, and that leaves us with our answer. It is 75%. All right, here on number 5, we have a question about a circle, and it shows us on the picture a distance to represent 8 meters. Anytime I have a question about a circle, I always use a strategy where I draw a diameter of a circle and I draw a radius. All right, so now when I look at this picture, I can see the distance that they're showing is the radius is 8. When we have the radius, we can multiply it by 2, and we know already diameter is 16. All right, so now if we go back, we find here, it wants us to find the area of the circle. So here's where you can go back and look at your formula chart. We have area of a circle is the formula. It says A equals pi r squared. All right, so something important for us to remember is when we see this r squared, or r to the second power, that means we're going to take the radius and multiply it times itself. So for this one, our radius is 8. That means we need 8 times 8. That leaves us with 64, and we need to multiply that by pi. Again, on your formula chart, the number for pi is written there. So to solve this problem, we need to do 3.14 for pi times 64. All right, maybe pause this video if you're going to work it out. I, as you can tell, ran out of space. Final answer is going to be 200.96. That is the area of the circle. All right, on number 6, it also talks about a circle. I'm going to use my same strategies. Diameter is all the way across, radius is halfway. I can look at this picture, it shows the diameter. To go from diameter to radius, we're going to divide that number by 2. 40 divided by 2 means the radius is 20. This problem asks us about circumference. So you can go back to your formula chart. Underneath circumference, we see equals pi times d. All right, so we just have 2 numbers we need to multiply here. Diameter, we wrote down, that number is 40. Pi is always the same, 3.14 times 40. I'm not going to have space to work it out, so I'll give you guys a second, pause the video. Final answer for this problem should be 125.6. Number 7 asks us to evaluate the expression below. We're multiplying 2 numbers. Those numbers are negative and they have decimals. So what I'm going to do is kind of separate this. First, I want to know just the number answer that I have here. So I'm going to ignore the negative signs with them, and I'm just going to multiply 0.2 by 0.2. All right, so I'm going to make sure that when I'm multiplying, I keep my numbers in line where they belong, and I'm going to use each number. So I got 2 times 2 and 2 times 0. So now I can hold my space there. 0 times 2 is 0. 0 times 0, and I add it up. All right, so one more thing is to figure out where our decimal goes. So I have 1, 2 spaces. So I come here, decimal goes 1, 2 spaces in. So our number for this will be 0.04. All right, so now we're going to pay attention to what kind of sign the answer will have. Will it be a positive or will it be a negative? So different teachers have taught you different strategies. I pretty much always do Mickey Mouse with my classes. So we have negative ears in Mickey Mouse and a positive face. Our 2 numbers here were both negative, so I'm going to scratch out the 2 negatives. That leaves me with a positive sign, so our answer is going to be a positive number, positive 0.04. All right, number 8, we want to solve an equation. So this equation has the letter W in it. That's just like if it were to have an X. We're going to set it up the same way, solve it the same way, even though the number is a little different. Right, so we can draw a line through the equal sign to remind us to do the same thing on both sides of the line. I also like to put a box around where the letter is. That just reminds me I want to leave that alone at first and then come deal with the 3 a little later. So the first thing I want to do is the opposite of minus 2, so I can make that go away. We're going to add 2 on both sides of this equation. Since these two are opposites, they're going to end up being 0, which means we can cancel them out. Now over here, I have a negative 5 plus 2. Since these two numbers have a different sign, a negative and a positive, we're going to end up subtracting them. So we do 5 minus 2. That'll leave us with 3. Then we check our numbers. 5 was the bigger number, so that means there are more negatives, and that will leave us with a negative answer. So here we have a negative 3, and I can bring down this 3W on this side. So now we have 3 times W. We want to do the opposite of multiplying by 3. That'll be divide by 3. Multiplying and dividing are opposites. That will cancel each other out. We'll be left with W equals 3 divided by 3 will leave us with 1. We can again use this Mickey Mouse strategy. We have a negative 3 and a positive 3, so that leaves us with a negative to go with our answer. W equals negative 1. All right, so number 9. What is 22% of 40? So this one is similar to a problem we did at the top. I think it was number 4. This time it gives us the percent, so it gives us the part, and it gives us 40. So again, we're talking about a window question. We have a part and whole. We can save this side over here to belong with our percents. So to me, the easiest part is filling in the percents. Right here, the number 22 has the percent symbol behind it. It is the part. And we know that the whole in the percent is going to be a 100. So now that just leaves us to figure out if 40 is talking about part of something or it's talking about the whole. So we're looking, it says, what is 22%? So we're looking for the number that belongs here with the 22. So in my mind, that tells me, well, the 40 then has to be the whole. So we've got our window set up. Now, easy part for us is to cross multiply and divide. So we've got 22 times 40. And now we need to divide by 100. Shortcut for us here, if you guys remember, when we're dividing, we're going to move a decimal to the left. 100 has 2 zeros, so we'll go 2 spaces to the left. So 880, I'm going to move it twice. It becomes 8.80. And that is going to be our answer here. 8.80. There we go. All right, number 10. It's got all kinds of typos going on. Number 10, number 4, who knows what it's talking about? Fill in the number on the number line. Again, we've got no number to put there. So, lucky us, we're done for today.
All right, I hope you guys had any questions answered that you may have had. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Like I said before, Miss Howell's going to post her video tomorrow, and you'll see the answers for day 2. You're welcome to hold off and watch these videos at any time, but just whenever you're ready, they'll be here for you. Subscribe to the channel. Go into your Google Classroom for whoever your teacher is. Here I am again, not knowing what to say. We miss you guys. We're very excited at the idea of coming back to school, maybe next year, but we're going to get through this together. If you and your family need anything, please reach out to your teachers. Let somebody know. We're all here for you guys, and we're very excited to still be able to teach you in some way. We look forward to seeing all you guys very soon.